everyone, this is Professor MJ for my live stream on Wednesday, June 21st. I hope you are in great shape and have a lot of energy because I've got 6 MLB system picks to present to you. So stay tuned until the end for those picks. And in each case, as usual, I will let you know whether I feel like the pick is an official pick that is worth betting, or is it just a lean, or do I recommend avoiding the play in question altogether? All right, now before we get started, I need to announce the winner of the $100 cash prize as promised in yesterday's video. Now remember that on Monday, I made 2 official picks and I said that if both lost, I would give away $100 to one of the YouTube viewers who would comment my video. Now, those 2 picks did lose, so as promised, I'm going to give away $100. We had 218 people who qualified, and I assigned 4 numbers to each person. And I said that we would look at the last 3 digits of the attendance in Philadelphia on Tuesday to determine the winner. And the guy that wins $100 is Frank Rusconi. Because as you can see, the attendance in Philadelphia yesterday ended with 746. And our friend Frank Rusconi had the number 746 assigned to him. So congratulations, man. Please shoot me an email at winner@professormj.com. So again, winner@professormj.com. Send me an email and I will let you know how I can give you your $100 cash prize. Congratulations, man. Now, speaking of congratulations, please give me just 1 minute to congratulate my oldest son, Maverick, who hit his first Grand Slam ever yesterday. I'm still super pumped for him. They won the game 16-12. He had 1 Grand Slam and 2 doubles. And that was after going through a tough game. In the previous game, he had some trouble batting. So I did 2 practices with him, and he now knows how valuable hard work is, because that allowed him to hit a Grand Slam yesterday. That was so great. I'm so proud of him. All right, if we go back to betting, yesterday in total I shared 5 betting picks in baseball. The 2 free ones on YouTube were winners. Remember that I took the Cubs at the Pirates, and also the Cardinals, who easily beat the Nationals. All right. Now, I also took over 10 runs in the Rockies-Padres game. I believe 14 runs. It says Rockies-Padres, but it was Rockies-Reds. Sorry about the typo. I believe 14 runs were scored. The only loss of the night was over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings of the Padres versus Giants game. And finally, in college baseball, I picked LSU at -105 odds. So they were that was like a pick'em game. They did beat Tennessee. All right, so are you ready for my 6 MLB picks for today? Let's see who is here. Oh, BMT Seidel is here. Happy Wednesday, Professor. It's good to see you again. Saratoga 2024. Hi, my friend. TNT, hello. Sunflower says, I will likely win because I'm lucky. Sorry, my friend. I remember that you were one of the finalists, but unfortunately, Frank is the winner. Hello to Arthur Mead as well, Jacob. So let's keep going, and let's start with the first pick of the day, which is backed by the famous scoring drought betting system. Before we talk about the criteria for betting, we have now won the past 20 bets according to this system. This is unbelievable. By the way, yesterday I forgot to tell you that the Guardians qualified under the system against Oakland, but I did not pick them because another strategy was recommending to go with Oakland. So I simply stayed away from that game. But officially, that was a 20th straight victory by the scoring drought system. So I hope it's going to make it 21. So the rules are as follows. Fade the road team if they lost their past 2 games by scoring 2 runs or less in each of those defeats. And you do it only if their money line is bigger than plus 150 in American format, which is the same as 2.50 if you are more familiar with decimal odds. Now, can you guess which team qualifies? Let me show you the Oakland A's schedule. So they are indeed on the road today. Yesterday they lost 3-2 in extra innings, and the day before they also lost 3-2. So they did lose their past 2 games by scoring 2 or fewer runs. They are on the road, and their money line today is indeed bigger than plus 150. So the first system pick is the Cleveland Guardians at minus 174 odds with FanDuel. That was the best odds I saw like an hour ago. Maybe you can get minus 175, minus 180 or something like that. Now, is this an official pick, a lean, or a play to avoid? Now, of course, it's hard not to take this bet given the hot run of the scoring drought strategy. Also, it's interesting to note that in the past 11 meetings between these 2 squads, Cleveland has a 9-2 record. So they have really dominated the A's lately. Now in 2023, so this year, these teams have met 4 times, and all 4 games were very close. In fact, 3 of them went into extra innings, and in the other case, the game ended with a 4-3 score. So all 4 games were tight. Now on the mound, the A's are sending Paul Blackburn. He missed the first 2 months of the season with an injury. Now he did not pitch all that much in his first 5 years in the major leagues. And then in 2022, which was maybe his first full season as a starting pitcher, he posted some average numbers. His ERA was 4.28, and his WHIP statistic, the famous walks plus hits per inning pitch statistic that I value so much, was 1.26, while the league average is 1.30. So he was quite close to the league average. He has a fairly low strikeout rate, which concerns me quite a bit though. Now, in 4 outings against Cleveland in his career, he has posted a nice 2.96 ERA. So again, if you want to bet the Guardians, that's a bit of a concern. Now, the Guardians will be sending Gavin Williams to the mound, who was a first-round pick in 2021. He was drafted out of East Carolina. He's a tall 6'6" rookie with big stuff. He strikes out many batters. And he is arguably the best pitching prospect. Now his numbers this year are mind-boggling. In Double-A, he made 3 starts. And in those starts, he picked up an ERA of 0.63. Can you believe that? And then he moved to Triple-A. And in 8 starts, he got a 2.85 ERA. So he seems ready for the big leagues. But I guess we'll find out tonight. We've seen quite a bit of rookies having success in minor leagues and then stumbling in MLB. We'll see what's going to happen today. But my official call for this game is to make it an official pick. I did bet the Guardians earlier this morning. Now again, I'm not super excited about this bet, given how Blackburn is not necessarily a bad pitcher. Now, Gavin Williams is a question mark. I know he's been great in minor leagues, but MLB is not the same. Although some might argue that the Oakland A's look like a minor league team. So, again, let's go with Cleveland with an official pick. All right, now the next two picks are backed by the snap losing streak number 2 strategy, which goes like this. And as we go along, you can try to guess which two teams fit this system today. It recommends fading, which means betting against, fading the home team that won their last game after losing at least 4 in a row. They must be facing the same opponent today as they did yesterday, and their money line must be better than minus 150. So that means minus 149, minus 148, minus 140, minus 120. In other words, we want to avoid big favorites because they did not fare well in prior years. Now, all right, so let me share my screen so that we can take a look at the New York Yankees schedule. Now, as you can see, they won their last game yesterday against the Mariners. And prior to that, they had a 4-game losing skid. And now they are facing the same opponent, and they are not big favorites. So they are meeting all criteria for betting, which means that we must fade the Yankees if we follow the rules that we just saw. So that means that system pick number 2 is the Mariners playing in New York. The best odds I saw earlier was minus 162. Now I can tell you right now that my official call here is to avoid this play. I mean, I'm not saying the Mariners are not going to win the game, but this is too big of a price. I mean, the line is quite small. We're talking about betting the Mariners, who are a 500 team in New York, against the Yankees, who are a solid team. I mean, this money line is way too small for my taste. I know the Mariners are starting Luis Castillo, who has excellent numbers this year. He has a 2.73 ERA and a whip statistic of 1.02, which is awesome. Now, to me, he has not looked as strong lately. In his last start, he gave up 6 walks against Miami. And in the game before that, he allowed 5 runs, although I have to admit that only 3 of them were earned in 6 innings at the Angels. But still, he has not been as sharp as he was earlier this season. Now, the Yankees will be sending Johnny Brito to the mound. He has been quite unimpressive this year. Oh, and again, that explains why the Mariners are such big favorites today. It's also good to note that the Yankees, they have a 5-8 record when Aaron Judge is not in the lineup. So if you want to bet the Mariners, you can do it, but personally, I don't like the price we have to pay, so I'm going to avoid this pick. All right, can you guess which other team fits? Let's take a look at the Houston Astros schedule. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, so the Astros, they won against the Mets yesterday, but before that win, they underwent a 5-game losing skid. And since they are facing the same opponent today, and, well, their money line is close to the threshold of minus 150, but the official pick is to fade the Astros. In other words, the third system pick is to go with the New York Mets. All right. Oh, by the way, there's a typo on the screen right here. I just looked at my betting systems. The last criterion is their money line must be better than minus 200. So that should be minus 200. So this means that's why the Astros are fitting under this criteria today. Now the Mets, they have a money line of around plus 140 today. Is this worth taking a shot or not? Well, let's look. Let's dig deeper. They are going to be sending Tyler McGill to the mound. He has a 1.61 whip statistic this year, which is abysmal. In fact, if your whip stat is above 1.50, that's considered as being quite bad. He has only 3 quality starts out of his 14 trips to the mound this year. Now, in his last 3 games, he had 2 very solid outings, though. In his last start, he gave up just 1 earned run in 6 innings against the Cardinals. Now, before that, he was very bad in Pittsburgh as he surrendered 7 earned runs in 3 2/3 innings. But the game before that, he faced a tough Blue Jays lineup and he only gave up 1 earned run in 5 1/3 innings. So is he turning the corner? Well, I'm not so sure. And also he's facing Christian Javier, who is a true beast. His ERA last year and this year are below 3, and his whip statistic hovers around 1.0, which is awesome. Now, some interesting statistic that I saw about Javier, and a quite confusing one, is that he picked up just 2 strikeouts in each of his past 2 starts, which is quite unusual for him. Now, is this a sign that he is slowing down? Maybe, maybe not. Now, also, if you take a look at the last 10 games the Mets played in Houston, they have a 1-9 record, which is quite bad. Now, the Houston Astros, they have been struggling lately, though. So in their past 14 games, they have a 4-10 record. So what should we do with this? Well, my final call here is to make it a lean. So that means that I'm either going to stay away from this game or I'll place a small bet. I'm thinking about placing a small bet on the Mets. I think the money line is quite high and we're catching the Astros at a good moment since they have not been playing solid baseball. Obviously, the pitching matchup is what is scaring me right now. All right, so we have looked at 3 out of the 6 system picks. Let's take a look at some comments. Robert Gordon says, awesome win yesterday. Thank you very much. Yeah, we had a 2-0 record with our 3 picks. Bill Cassis says, wonder if Cubs Pirates are a system pick. Well, you know what? There is a system pick regarding this play, and that's going to be the topic of my 6th system pick for today. So stay tuned. John X says, Oakland got a good record at Cleveland. Well, I have to admit I don't know the record at Cleveland. I've written down here that they have a 2-9 record against Cleveland overall. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm not super comfortable with that bet since all games have been tight this year. But I had to take the Guardians given the 20 bet winning streak by the scoring drought system. Angel says, hit a nice parlay because of you, Professor. I owe you one. Well, thank you. You know what? You don't owe me anything. Just showing up for this live stream is a nice reward for me. And I invite you to keep watching my videos. I appreciate you, my friend. Oregon245 says, how does it work? I just joined. I'm not sure what you mean here. I'm sorry. DJ S. Cream says, Castillo is 0-5 on the road after 6 strikeouts on his previous outing. That's interesting. I was not aware of that trend. hopefully. So that confirms my choice to avoid taking the Mariners. Okay, now let's keep moving. Now the next pick is supported by 2 betting systems at a time, but hold on before going crazy. One of them is the hot bats. Now there are 2 different criterion that can trigger a bet here, and in this case it is the second one that's going to apply. So if we read the rules here, it says fade the home team if they either won their past 2 games by scoring 6+ runs in each of those victories, or if they won their past 4 games by scoring at least 5 runs in each of those victories. All right, now let's take a look at the schedule by Cincinnati. Now they are on a 10-game winning streak, which is awesome. Now, did they score at least 6 runs in each of their past 2 games? The answer is no. They scored 8 and 5. But the other criterion mentioned that they could also score at least 5 runs in each of their past 4 games, which have to be all wins. So as you can see, they've scored 8, 5, 9, and 10. So that means we need to fade. We need to fade the Reds, and that explains system pick number 4, which goes to the Rockies at plus 204 odds. Those were the highest odds I saw earlier today. Now, do I like this pick enough to bet? Let's find out. First of all, you might have heard the saying, don't try to catch a falling knife. And that really applies to today's game because the Rockies have lost 7 straight games. So that's quite scary. It's even more scary given how the Reds have been playing great baseball lately. And also the Rockies, they have a 1-9 record in their last 10 trips to Cincinnati. So they have struggled quite a bit in that stadium. But still, am I the only one feeling like the odds are very high here? I mean, I know the Reds have been playing great baseball, but I'm not buying the fact that they are a top MLB team. They could lose this game, in my opinion. Now, the Reds are sending the rookie Andrew Abbott to the mound, and so far, in 3 starts, he has allowed 0 runs in 17 2/3 innings. However, again, remember that he has pitched more than 17 innings and he has picked up just 12 punch-outs and 9 walks. Those numbers are quite concerning, so I'm not convinced at all that he is a dominant pitcher. I would not be that surprised if he allowed 5 runs today to the Rockies. Now, Colorado is sending Connor Seabold to the mound. He was very bad in his last game, but you have to give him the fact that he was playing in Atlanta, who have a tough lineup. He was beaten up by allowing 9 runs at the Braves. But in his previous 3 games, look at what he did, though. So he allowed just 1 run at the Boston Red Sox, who have a solid offense. Before that, he only gave up 2 runs to the Giants. And before that, he surrendered just 1 run at Arizona. So Seabold can be quite good on occasion for sure. Now, if I show you again the hot bats, like I said, today the Rockies qualified because of the second criterion, which I have decided to call it, let's call it the hot bat number 2. And we have had 14 teams qualifying under the hot bat number 2 this year. And can you guess what their record was? Those 14 teams, they had a 1-13 record. Boy, that's awful. So that does not make me super confident about the Rockies. So there are some plus and minuses about this game. So in the end, I've decided to call it a lean. In other words, I'm going to take a small shot on the Rockies. I'm only placing a small bet. For some reason, I kind of like this play, even though many numbers are telling me not to bet the Rockies. And I know many viewers might think I'm crazy taking a road team that is undergoing a 7-game losing skid against a home squad that has won 10 consecutive games. But for some reason, I feel like the Rockies, they do have a shot. The money line is very, very high in my opinion. All right, let's move on to system pick number 5, which is supported by the system called the Comeback that has produced some nice gains this year. So it recommends betting any team that came back from a deficit of 4+ runs in their last game. Now they must be facing the same opponent today, and their money line must be better than -175. So again, what I mean here is the money line should be -174, -173, -160, -120. They could be underdogs, but they cannot be huge favorites. All right, which team fits under these criteria? Can you guess? So you need to try to remember which team came back from a 4-run deficit yesterday. And if we go to covers.com, there it is. The D-backs took a 4-0 lead in the top of the second inning, and they ended up losing the game 7-5 in Milwaukee. All right, so we go back to the criteria for betting. The Brewers did come back from a deficit of 4+ run. They are facing the D-backs again, and their money line today is much better than -175. In fact, they are underdogs. The money line right now is +136, which surprised me quite a bit. I know Zach Gallen is on the mound, but those are pretty big odds. And also, I can tell you my final decision right now. It is to officially take the Brewers. One of the reasons is I mentioned to you, I believe it was last week, that I feel like the D-backs could go on a bad stretch quite soon. And in fact, right now, they have won just 3 of their past 8 games. It's not an awful stretch, but I feel like they will slow down quite a bit in the next few weeks. Meanwhile, the Brewers have won 4 of their past 5 games, so they have been heating up. Also, I've noticed that the Brewers have really owned the D-backs when playing in Milwaukee. The last 17 times this occurred, the Brewers have posted a 14-3 record against Arizona at home. Now, also, so like I said, the reason why Arizona is a moderate favorite here is because they are sending Zach Gallen to the mound. It's interesting to note that against when Gallen plays in Milwaukee, he has a 0-2 record along with a 4.50 ERA. So he has not had great success at Milwaukee. I also realized that Gallen went through a stretch of 10 consecutive starts in which he allowed no home runs, which is incredibly impressive. But now in his past 3 outings, he did allow 1 home run in each of them. So again, that could be a sign that he is slowing down. Now, the Brewers will counter with Julio Teheran, who has been very, very good this year. He has allowed a maximum of 2 runs in each of his 5 starts this year. He missed some time earlier due to an injury. So his worst outing has been to allow 2 runs. That's really impressive. Also, so far, he has pitched 30 innings and he allowed just 4 walks. That's right, 4 walks in 30 innings. That's awesome. He's had some 11 career starts against the Diamondbacks, and in those 11 career starts against this opponent, he has posted a 2.98 ERA. So all of those reasons contributed to my decision to take a shot on this underdog. I am taking Milwaukee as an official pick. All right, we only have one more system pick, and after that, I'm going to recap everything in case you missed the early part of this live stream. So the last system pick, as I said earlier, concerns the Cubs versus Pirates game. And we have a team that fits under the stingy pitchers. And I'm really happy to talk about this system because there are only a few plays per year that fit under this system. It does not happen very often. The criteria are as follows. You need to fade the road team if they won their past 2 games by allowing either 0 or 1 run in each of those victories. And their money line must be smaller than plus 150. Now, if you take a look at the Chicago Cubs schedule, you can see that they indeed won their past 2 games by allowing either 0 or 1 run. In fact, they have shut out the Pirates on both occasions. They won 4-0 and 8-0. And their money line also fit the criterion that we described earlier. So for this reason, pick number 6 goes to the Pirates, because remember that the stingy pitchers recommend fading the road team that has not allowed many runs recently. Again, I like it because it goes against conventional wisdom. And as you know, if you've been following me for a while, I am a contrarian. All right, now, is this an official pick, a lean, or a play to avoid? Let's see what I have about this game. So the Cubs will be starting Kyle Hendricks, who missed the first 2 months, but he has looked quite sharp since his return. He has a 1.02 whip statistic, which is extremely good, and an ERA that's below 3. Now, he does not have many strikeouts, but he has issued only 1 walk in his past 3 outings. That's awesome. And also, the Cubs are 8-11 against Pittsburgh during the last 19 meetings between these 2 squads. Rich Hill will be on the mound for the Pirates, and if you have been following me this season, you know that I don't trust this guy too much, mainly because of his age, and also his whip statistic this year is the highest it has been in his past 10 seasons. So clearly he is declining. He has not been awful, but he's not doing as great. Now, I have to admit that he has fared quite well against the Chicago Cubs in his career. He has a 2.49 ERA. That's incredibly good. Now, it's interesting to note that the Pirates, they currently have a 24-inning scoreless drought. That's right, they have not scored a single run in 24 straight innings. So obviously that makes this bet quite scary, and I've decided to make it a lean because of those reasons. So in summary, we have 2 official picks for today, which are the Cleveland Guardians against Oakland at odds that are around minus 175. The main reason being that they are supported by the scoring drought system that has won 20 straight bets. There is no way I could avoid making this play. And the other official pick that I made was on an underdog at odds that are around plus 135, the Milwaukee Brewers at home against the D-backs. I feel like the line is too high. given how Teheran is a pretty good pitcher. I know Zach Gallen is also great as well, but he has not fared well in Milwaukee, and so has his team. Now, I had several leans. I'm really tempted by the Rockies at huge odds in Cincinnati. We also have a lean on the Pirates at home against Chicago, but that's a pretty scary bet because we could again employ the quote that says, "Don't try to catch a falling knife." The Pirates have lost 8 straight games. The Rockies have lost 7 straight games. So those are certainly 2 scary bets. I also had a lean on another underdog, the Mets in Houston. The Astros have not been playing great baseball, but of course they are sending a great pitcher on the mound, so that scared me. And the other system pick I had were the Mariners, but in this case I said, no, don't take it. I really recommend avoiding this play. The money line is way too small for my taste, given the Mariners are on the road against a tough Yankees lineup, even though Aaron Judge is out. All right, so that's it for me. I hope you appreciated this live stream. Before I go, I could take a look at some comments. Okay. So, Éric Beausoleil, thank you. Merci d'être présent à ce live stream. Boss Shog says, I like Colorado. Arthur says, Colorado, as we are speaking, are pitching Jake Bird. Oh, so there seems to be a pitching change for the Rockies. That's not so great. Elliot says, I'm scared of Gallen. Yeah, I know. I agree that it is scary. But we have nice positive odds on the home team. And the Brewers are not a bad team. So they do have a shot, in my opinion. Elliot says his best bets are the Braves, team total over 4, and the Reds minus 1.5. Jaron says the Cubs sweeping. Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. I don't like the Pirates enough to put a bet. Inventor's Wisdom says, thanks for the daily videos. Much appreciated. Helps a lot. Thank you, my friend, for the comment. I love the Mets today, he says, but the Rockies are horrible. No, thank you. Yeah, I know the Rockies and Pirates bet are not going to be super popular today. All right, so thank you everyone for joining this live stream. I'll see you again tomorrow with a pre-recorded video. And also on Friday, I'm always here every Monday to Friday for you to provide some baseball picks. And I hope you appreciate the information that I provide to you. I'm Professor MJ, a 15-year university statistics professor saying so long.